bright beauty. Every student matters.
Hello students. Now let's talk about the withdrawal of the movement. Now if you remember, before this we were talking about the non-cooperation movement, right? We were talking about the non-cooperation movement. So here students, we have talked about how the movement started, why did the movement start, and how it unfolded in different stages, right? How many people participated, and all these small things we have learnt here in non-cooperation movement. Now if I ask you what were the two issues that led to the start or the launch of the non-cooperation movement in the year 1920, what would you say? Yes, you would say that it was the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, right? And the Khilafat issue that led to the launch of the non-cooperation movement, right? Now, here we see that through the ideas of Satyagraha only, Gandhi ji had started this whole movement. Now, students, have you understood the meaning of Satyagraha? I have told you before, right? So, it is all about truth and non-violence. So, how these two weapons could be much more powerful than resorting to the path of violence. This was the whole idea that Gandhi ji had started or he had propounded among the people of our country. But I also told you that Satyagraha had a very deep meaning and it was impossible for everyone to understand the ideology of Satyagraha that Gandhi ji had introduced in our country. We all know that people had different opinions about the movement. How should the movement go on, right? So throughout the year 1920, 1921, we see that people were now attacking the British government. Gandhiji was not in favor of violence in any form. And he was also very much shocked when he saw that people misunderstood his whole idea of Satyagraha. Now this is how the movement it was withdrawn by Gandhiji. He called off the movement later on in the year 1922. So let us try to understand what caused the withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement. So in December 1921, in Ahmedabad session, Congress decided to continue the movement till Swaraj was attained. We also know that the another aim of the non-cooperation movement was the attainment of Swaraj. Swaraj here it means self-rule, self-government, right? Right now, the administration and everything was under the control of British government. So the Indians, they demanded that they should be given the control of their own government. They should decide how the government should run. They should take over the power of the administration and all other things, right? So here, Swaraj became the main aim, the ultimate goal of all the people here, of Indians, right? So it was decided that they are going to continue the non-cooperation movement. At many places, people were peacefully participating in the demonstrations, in the hartals, and they were trying to boycott everything possible that was somewhat related to the British government or they represented the British government. Okay. Here, Maulana Hasrat Mohani, who was a famous Urdu poet, he suggested that now Swaraj should be defined as complete independence free from foreign rule, right? Here, let's talk about the whole idea now. Swaraj. When we are talking about Swaraj as self-rule or self-government, somewhere they wanted to take the whole of the government, right, under the British dominion, okay? But here now Maulana Hasrat Mohani, he said that why should we talk about self-rule or home rule only under the British dominion? We should talk about complete independence, free from the foreign rule. British government should have no right towards our country. Here, Now they were talking about the whole idea of complete independence. Okay? At the same time, we see that people were now taking aggressive measures, violent measures, right, to challenge or oppose the British government. So the movement in 1922, it took a violent turn. Now here you see, some people have understood the idea of satyagraha that Gandhiji was trying to convey to the people. But there were some people who now participated in the violent movement here. While actually they participated in the movement and they made it violent. Okay, so the movement, it took a violent turn in the year 1922. But what was this incident all about that led to the withdrawal of non-cooperation movement? So it was the famous Chauri Chaura incident, student. Chauri Chaura. Now, Chauri Chaura, it is a small area in the Gorakhpur district of Uttar Pradesh. Okay. So now this is a small area where the whole incident took place that led Gandhiji to call off the whole non-cooperation movement. Why? Because it took a violent turn and Gandhiji, he was quite shocked with what happened there. So here we see that the angry demonstrators, in fact the people who were trying to challenge the British government, oppose the British government in every way possible, they were going on and now they were crossing a police station at Chauri Chaura. Okay. So here they now decided to burn the police station and policemen, they were sitting in the police station. So in this horrifying incident, almost 22 policemen, they were killed in the attack. Okay, the demonstrators, they decided to burn the police station down and because of this, they put the police station on fire and 22 policemen, they burned alive. They were killed in this attack, students, right? They were also harmed, they were attacked, injured and so on. So therefore, this was the incident which made Gandhiji to call off the movement because he had decided that the movement should not take any violent turn. Okay. As you can see, this is the Smarak, the Chauri Chaura Smarak. Chauri Chaura Smarak, Shaheed Smarak here in the remembrance of the policemen who died in this attack. Okay. Now in 1922, Gandhiji, since it was under the leadership of Gandhiji that the whole movement had started, he took upon himself the moral responsibility of the riot and called off the movement. Okay. Now Congress decided to focus on Hindu-Muslim unity. Eventually what happened? Finally, we see that the whole movement that had started with such a nationalist fervor, it now was called off in the year 1922 with the acts of some Indians who could not understand the idea of satyagraha, right? The idea of non-violence and the path of truth that they could follow throughout this whole movement. Now here Congress, they saw that the whole movement was all about Hindu-Muslim unity. Non-cooperation movement, it definitely glorified the Hindu-Muslim unity. So they decided that when they are together, they are powerful enough to challenge the British government, right? And it was quite terrifying for the British government as well, when they saw that their whole policy of divide and rule was no more working on the Indians. Okay. Here we see that after the movement was called off, Gandhiji was also sentenced to 6 years of imprisonment and finally he was released in the year 1924. Okay.